Okay, hello guys, Chris here, and I am excited to be teaching you a quick little grammar lesson. So, I will walk over to the board and we can learn. So today I want to talk about a very, very important difference in English. This difference doesn't exist in every language, but in English it does, and it's extremely crucial. That is the difference between two verb forms. These two verb forms are, well, I'll show you. First we have, let's say a verb like eat. Right now, it's in the present. But there's two main ways to talk about it in the past. Ate and have eaten. This form is the present simple. This one is the past simple. And this one, a little different, the present perfect. This might seem a little confusing at first because if this is used to refer to actions in the past, why is it called the present perfect? That's kind of strange, right? Well, for that, all it's talking about is the tense of this, have. Have is the present tense form of the verb have, and so this is the present perfect. Now, in reality, English speakers sort of mix the uses of these verb tenses. Sometimes they can be kind of interchangeable, but they are not always, and I will explain exactly how. So, if we take a sentence like, for example, oh, perfect, I'm kind of hungry. So, we could say, Chris ate lunch. Past simple, done. If I were to use the present perfect, how would I do that? Very simple. Chris, third person form of have is, very good, has eaten lunch. Chris ate lunch, Chris has eaten lunch. So, the meaning of these are slightly different, and I can illustrate it using one of my favorite utilities, a timeline. So, we have two timelines. We will say, this is the present, this is the future, and this is the past. How would I draw this on a timeline? Chris ate lunch. Quite simply, I would just put it, I don't know, at some point from the present to the past. Let's put it here. Perfect. Chris ate lunch. It is a single action, and this is the most important. It is a complete action. If I say Chris ate lunch, he ate lunch at some point in the past, and he is not eating lunch now. It has no connection to the present. It is an action, a one simple action that started in the past and finished in the past and has no connection or relevance to the present. That is different for this one. For Chris has eaten lunch, and I can illustrate that using a timeline as well. Again, present, future, and past. Instead of one single dot, it's more like an area of time, you could say. So if I say Chris has eaten lunch, all we know from this one sentence is that Chris eating lunch started at some point, I don't know, in the past, and either continued into or is still relevant to the present. So it's more like this, kind of. Just at some point in this period of time, Chris has eaten lunch. Whether it's finished or not, or is relevant or not, needs to be explained more, but this is the key difference. In the past simple, we can say, I can write this on the board actually, for the past simple and the present perfect, we can say that the past simple are for single, complete actions, and they finished in the past. So they do not continue into the past, and they are not relevant to the past, present, sorry. Have not continued into the present, and they are not relevant to the present. As opposed to the present perfect, I can use green for this one, it is an, we could say, well, it could be a completed action. It could be. So potentially, ooh, okay, maybe not green. Maybe green was a bad idea. Instead, we can go with this nice color of blue. No. We'll say continuing, just for clarity, because, yeah. We can say continuing actions, and they are still relevant / happening in the present. Very good. So I can understand how in some situations it seems like, okay, what's the big deal? I don't see the big issue with this. Does it really make that much of a difference? Am I not fundamentally saying the same thing in these two sentences? Well, yes and no. In some sentences, like I said before, honestly, in real life, you can use them interchangeably, but in some situations, no. The sentence completely changes meaning, and I can illustrate that with an example right here. We could say, Chris was friends with Bob, and Chris was friends with Bob, Chris has been friends with Bob. This completely changes the meaning of the sentence, whether it is the past simple or the present perfect. Because what does this mean? What does the first sentence mean? Chris was friends with Bob. Let me ask you, is Chris still friends with Bob? Is their friendship, or because it's Chris, we could say my friendship, me and Bob's friendship, am I still friends with Bob? Is our friendship still existing or relevant in the present? In this sentence, no, it's finished. It is a complete action. It finished in the past. It's over. This implies, in my English speaker ears, that if Chris was friends with Bob, we were, but now we are not. Something happened. And then if somebody says this to me, I want to say, oh, really? What happened? Why aren't they now? What changed? But in this one, Chris has been friends with Bob, We started maybe in elementary school when we were kids. We started being friends, and we are still friends today. It starts in the past and continues to the present. This can also be, how do I say? There are some hints we can use as well to sort of figure out whether we should use the past simple or the present perfect. And another way to tell is that with certain verb forms, we use certain time words. What do I mean by that? I mean words like, what could be a good time word color? Let's go with purple. Purple would be a good time word color. We could say maybe, let's see, Chris ate lunch yesterday. With past simple, we use yesterday. We could also use, I don't know, last week. Specific time words that refer to specific periods of time. It could be yesterday, last week, 12 years ago. It needs to be a specific amount of time, whether a number is included or it's specifically designated like yesterday. There can only be one yesterday. But for present perfect, we use more general time words. So like a very common question in English could be like, I want to know, I'm talking to Bob, we're back with Bob, we're friends. I want to know if Bob has gone to Italy. A common way English speakers ask that is, have you ever been to Italy? Have you ever been to Italy before? Is before a specific time? No. Before is literally 1 second ago until the beginning of the universe. Before is a general time word. So we use general time words with the present perfect because it's continuing. It's unspecific and incomplete. The opposite of how the past simple is before. And so, the present past simple, very good. Other than that, I mean, when it comes to practicing them, oh, I almost forgot. Another very important aspect of these that I like to practice very much with my students is the way you pronounce these words. The way you pronounce these words. Another difference you might have noticed between these two, if we look, how many verbs are there? I know it's a weird question asked, but how many verbs? We have one verb in the present simple, one verb in the past simple, but in the present perfect we have two verbs? That's very strange, definitely. It's a weird thing about English. We need two verbs for these kinds of expressions. This is the main verb, the content verb, but this one is the auxiliary, the helper verb. It helps you explain, like, oh, if you see have and then the past participle form of a verb, that's how you know we're talking about the present perfect. But English speakers, we are lazy. We are lazy. And so, when we talk in the present perfect, we do not, like for example, say, like to answer this question, I have been to Italy. I have been to Italy. I have been to Italy. It's not incorrect, but if I'm speaking naturally, if I'm letting my language flow, then we need to contract. We need to contract. So, how do I contract the sentence? The savvier among you have already figured it out, but we always contract the subject with the auxiliary verb. So, very simple. We just basically apostrophe. I've. I have, I've been to Italy. Let's see. What about, for example, Chris has been. This one's a little weird because this word ends with an S. So instead of Chris, we could say, let's do Sarah. Sure. Sarah has been friends with Bob. How do I contract this? Very simple. The exact same way. Apostrophe. Sarah's been friends with Bob. I know you're thinking, whoa, but teacher, isn't that the possessive form? It is. Unfortunately, you can only tell the difference through context and through verb forms after. In this situation, if it is immediately followed by the past participle, it's the present perfect. So, I do not want to hear you guys saying, oh, I have been to Italy. She has already eaten lunch. No, she's already eaten lunch. I've been to Italy. Have you ever have you ever studied French? Oh yeah, I've studied French. Yeah, and they've studied French too. You see, it's more fluid, it's more natural, it sounds more native. And well, I think that pretty much covers it for today. This is the difference between the present simple, the past simple and the present perfect. And if you guys have any questions or doubts, because I know it can be strange, this slight but important difference. If you have any questions or doubts and want to come down to a place where you can practice this and many other aspects of English fluency, you can come right on down to Approach USA, Approach ISC here in Marlborough, or our campus on Allston. And me and all of our other amazing teachers would be more than happy to help. So, thank you all very much for this quick grammar lesson. I wish you luck in your studies, and I hope you all have a good one. Thank you.